Have you noticed that all the money we have is currently part of the biggest financial experiment in American history? It's the idea that everything can be turned into cryptocurrency. Even someone like Trump, who built his fortune in real estate, has now issued his own stablecoin. This has led some people to say that America is once again at the forefront of a new era. However, others are warning of a massive increase in financial risk. Not only could you lose everything buying a house, but even your retirement savings could be wiped out along with the crypto market. Today, using the 5 most pressing questions from our viewers, we're going to get a clear view of this financial revolution. What do cryptocurrency and stablecoins have to do with us? Why did Trump issue his own coin? Is he no longer optimistic about real estate? Crypto billionaires are buying up real estate. What are they so worried about? Could allowing cryptocurrency into the mortgage system trigger a bigger housing collapse than 2008? There's talk of allowing 401k retirement funds to be invested in crypto. Could this leave working people with nothing in their old age? I'm still on a business trip on the East Coast for the next 2 weeks, so let's chat as we go. Before we start, please give this video a like. Your support is my biggest motivation to keep creating content. Let's start with the first question. What are cryptocurrencies and stablecoins, and what do they have to do with buying a house? To understand this, we first need to talk about what fiat currency is. The US dollar, for example, is a fiat currency. It's backed by the US federal government, which can print more of it. When the government prints too much money, we get inflation, and the prices of everything we buy get more and more expensive. Cryptocurrency, like Bitcoin, is the exact opposite. It has no government backing, and its supply is limited. The total supply of Bitcoin, for instance, is capped at 21 million coins. You can't just print more whenever you want. Of course, there are many kinds of cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin is just the most famous and long-standing one. Finally, let's talk about stablecoins. You can think of a stablecoin as a digital shadow of the US dollar. $1 is exchangeable for one stablecoin. So why not just use dollars? Why create a stablecoin? Because stablecoins are digital, they allow for super fast transactions, making international transfers and remittances much more convenient. By now, you've probably spotted the problem. Banks are terrified of stablecoins. Banks make their living from deposits. We put our money in the bank, and the bank then uses our money to lend to people buying homes, earning a profit from the mortgage interest. But if, in the future, we all stop putting our money in banks and convert it to stablecoins instead, the banks will have less money. To continue making a profit, they would have to charge people who take out mortgages a higher interest rate. So, any entity that issues a stablecoin is essentially competing with banks for the global flow of capital. What then are Trump's motivations for issuing his own stablecoin? Alright, on to our second question. Why did Trump issue his own coin, and does it mean he's no longer bullish on real estate? The two things aren't really related. Let's look at it from 2 angles. The first reason is straightforward: to make money. The Trump family launched a stablecoin called USD1. The market was already dominated by 2 giants, USDT and USDC. But as soon as Trump's USD1 went live, it quickly attracted over $4 billion. To put that speed into perspective, let's compare it to real estate. When we undertake a real estate development project, from acquiring the land to design, construction, and final delivery, a single project takes at least 3 to 5 years, and that's considered fast. Throughout the process, we have to battle with interest rates, insurance, climate issues, tariffs, and land policies. Just running around construction sites and revising blueprints is enough to give you a herniated disc. But look at issuing a stablecoin. You're counting money until your hands get sore almost instantly. We're digging dirt on a construction site. They're issuing code on the internet. Making money by issuing a coin is like taking a rocket ship. That's the first reason. The second reason is to project influence. Many countries around the world already use stablecoins as a quasi-currency. Their citizens have lost faith in their own national currency and trust stablecoins more. So when Trump says he wants to make America the crypto capital of the world, he's not just talking. He's serious about projecting influence. This applies domestically as well. You have to understand it's very difficult for many young people in America to make money right now. They can't possibly afford to buy a house. That's why a huge number of young people are in the crypto space, genuinely hoping to change their fortunes with crypto. By issuing a coin, Trump is directly projecting influence onto this younger demographic. So to answer the question, is Trump bearish on real estate? I don't think so. It's the foundation of his fortune. There's no reason to abandon it. It just means that going forward, his focus may no longer be primarily on real estate. He can buy Bitcoin, and he has bought a lot. He can issue stablecoins to project influence. He could even use his term in office to promote new pro-crypto policies and support the crypto industry. His series of actions has already made it clear. His next major battlefield is cryptocurrency. Real estate's proportion in his overall asset allocation is likely to steadily decline. It is no longer his main focus. However, this highlights a contradiction within the crypto world. While Trump is issuing coins, many of the original crypto titans are cashing out and buying massive amounts of real estate. Does this mean they see an even bigger risk hiding within the crypto space? All right, on to the third question. Crypto billionaires are all buying real estate. What are they so worried about? Actually, crypto tycoons buying property, especially luxury mansions, isn't a recent phenomenon. It's been happening for years. For instance, the CEO of Coinbase spent over $100 million on a mansion in California. Many other crypto fund managers are buying up houses and land everywhere. So you might have noticed a pattern. These individuals are not keeping all their money in the crypto world. Instead, they are converting a significant portion of it into tangible assets, namely houses. Why? It's simple: risk diversification. People inside the crypto world know better than anyone that the price of cryptocurrencies, even a giant like Bitcoin, has its ups and downs. So what they're doing is what every smart investor does: converting intangible, virtual wealth into tangible, physical wealth that you can see and touch, like land and houses. I know the viewer asked this question because they see a contradiction. Are these crypto leaders saying one thing and doing another? In their marketing, they tell us that cryptocurrency is the future, that all financial and technological innovation is happening in the crypto space. They say houses are old-fashioned, and investing in real estate is something only out-of-touch people do. But in their actions, they are buying houses like there's no tomorrow, and more expensive ones at that. You have to understand one thing. People sell what they're selling. For example, I come from an architectural background. So I might say that architecture is the summation of all of humanity's noblest sentiments. But when I'm on a construction site and I see a worker make a mistake and I have to revise a drawing on the spot, I might start cursing. So people in the crypto world are the same. They sell crypto, so they have to talk up crypto. But that doesn't stop them from buying houses. There are two main benefits to buying luxury real estate. First, the market for luxury homes is small and scarce. So even if the market dips, prices don't fall as dramatically. And think about it, the people who can afford to buy luxury homes are also wealthy. It's a circle of insiders, and networking with them is never a bad thing. Second, they need status. Money is an abstract concept, especially cryptocurrency, which is just a string of data. You need something physical to prove your status and position. And what does that better than a house, especially a good one, a mansion? So don't think of these crypto tycoons as mysterious figures from another world. They're not that different from us. They also need a place to live. And with this trend, the connection between cryptocurrency and real estate is likely to get deeper and deeper. Even the US housing finance regulators are pushing for the cryptofication of real estate. This suggests that, in the eyes of top US lawmakers, integrating cryptocurrency into real estate transactions is likely just a matter of time, whether we like it or not. What profound impact will this have on the average homebuyer? Okay, next question. Could allowing cryptocurrency into the mortgage system trigger a housing collapse like the one in 2008? Last week, I briefly touched on this, but didn't go into detail. First, we need to be clear that the 2008 financial crisis, the subprime crisis, happened because U.S. mortgage lenders were lending money to people with unstable incomes and poor repayment ability. When housing prices fell, they couldn't make their payments, and the assets held by the banks instantly turned into junk. The entire financial system collapsed. The crisis was caused by the devaluation of these subprime loans. Today, if we introduce cryptocurrency into mortgage assets, where does the risk lie? You need to watch for a different kind of price movement, the volatility of the crypto market. For example, let's say you have $100,000 worth of Bitcoin, which you can use as a down payment for a house today. The bank agrees, but after a while, let's say your Bitcoin drops by 30%. That down payment, which was worth $100,000, is now only worth $70,000 in the bank's hands. Do you see how this is similar to the logic of the 2008 housing crash, where the value of the collateral shrank? In other words, they both represent systemic risk. The end result, a collapse, is the same. Of course, as I mentioned in the last episode, there is another side to this. There are supporters of integrating cryptocurrency into the US mortgage system. They argue that 2008 was caused by irresponsible and reckless lending by banks. Now, mortgage lending is much more strictly regulated. So, if we were to introduce cryptocurrency into mortgages, it would also have to be done with enhanced regulation. Only a select few, relatively stable cryptocurrencies would be allowed, not just any random coin. In the last episode, a viewer also asked if home purchases could be put on-chain, meaning on the blockchain. We won't get too deep into the technology, but you should know that this has already been experimented with in the US, using blockchain to register property titles and even using Ethereum-based smart contracts for buying, selling, and renting. The benefits are transparency, immutability, and traceability, which should reduce property disputes. But there are also significant challenges. Each US state has its own laws, creating a substantial market education cost. Additionally, many are concerned about privacy. If all this data is on the blockchain, what happens if it gets hacked? All of our personal information would be exposed. So the main concerns about linking cryptocurrency and real estate are about the assets themselves, the fear that the volatility of the crypto market could bring down your own home's value, and about personal privacy. But notice, these are all concerns for people who are buying homes. There are still many people who aren't buying homes. But can people who don't buy homes escape the reach of cryptocurrency? People who don't buy homes still need to retire. And now there's a discussion about linking retirement funds, the 401k, to cryptocurrency. If that happens, it seems none of us will be able to escape cryptocurrency in our lifetimes. I wonder how far away that future is. Alright, the final question. If retirement funds in 401ks are used to buy crypto, will it leave working people with nothing in their old age? This question goes beyond just buying a house, because everyone has to retire. The 401k is the primary retirement savings account for most ordinary Americans. The money in it is their hard-earned pension, saved over many years. In the past, the investment options in a 401k were things like stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Although these have their ups and downs, they are generally tied to the fundamentals of the economy and have been relatively stable over decades. But if 401ks are allowed to invest in cryptocurrency, the situation changes dramatically. For example, let's say you start contributing to your 401k at age 30. That money is used to buy cryptocurrency. This year, it might double in value, but next year, it could be cut in half. Would you dare to bet your retirement on something like that? Many people in the financial industry are warning that this would essentially strip away the retirement safety net for the public, tying it to the whims of the crypto market. The volatility is immense. If the crypto market crashes, it won't be the billionaires who get hurt. They have plenty of money. The ones affected by a 401k collapse would be the millions and millions of ordinary working people. That would be a tragedy. But there are supporters of this idea. They argue that the US pension system is already riddled with holes and faces huge risks. The funding pool is insufficient. Stocks can also crash. While cryptocurrency is risky, they say, its long-term returns could also be very high, like venture capital. At the very least, it could be an option for diversification, just like building an investment portfolio. So the conflict is this: supporters see it as a high growth opportunity, allowing working people to share in the potential boom of cryptocurrency. Opponents believe the high volatility of the crypto market could devastate ordinary people and ruin their retirement. So if 401k were to invest in cryptocurrency, I think the key would be to find a balance between risk and reward. Because if it's completely unregulated and people bet their entire retirement on crypto, who will be responsible when they have nothing left? But if you only allocate a very small percentage of the portfolio to it, using it as an accelerator for the pension fund, it might be a way to address the pension funding problem. So, for those of you who have followed along, you'll have noticed a trend in the investment world over the past 6 months. Even if we don't want to hear about cryptocurrency, it keeps chasing after us. I think investing is like a life itself. It's constantly changing. What can we do? The only thing we can do is to understand the value of cryptocurrency's existence, to see both the good and the bad sides of the crypto market, and ultimately to find a better balance point to make it work for us. Finally, I want to share some observations I've made recently about how cryptocurrency is quietly seeping into our lives. Lately, many US companies have started frantically buying cryptocurrencies. It's no longer just a game for individual retail investors. Major tech companies and even large, traditional corporations are converting their cash reserves into crypto. Some companies have even set up crypto buying departments. You heard that right. Their sole job is to buy crypto for the company. There's a reason for this corporate predicament. Companies have cash on hand, but the interest they earn from keeping it in the bank is almost nothing. The returns on government bonds are too low. And as for real estate, we all know what that market is like right now. The cycles are long, and liquidity is extremely poor. But with crypto, if you catch a surge, the returns can be astonishingly higher than what the company makes from its core business. It can also serve as a hedge against inflation. This creates a conflict. My understanding is that if corporate money keeps flowing into the crypto world, for example, if you are the CFO of a company with $1 billion in capital, how do you invest it? You could buy land and construct buildings, but it might take 5 or 6 years to see a return, and that's if you're fast. Or you could buy crypto, and if it doubles in 6 months, which would you choose? Companies are profit-driven. So we're seeing this trend of large corporations buying crypto, creating a seesaw effect with real estate investment. Either you invest heavily in real estate and less in crypto, or if everyone rushes into crypto, then less money goes into real estate. Large institutional and private equity funds have also significantly reduced the number of homes they are buying. Where did the money go? It went into crypto. For the average person, this is a very real issue. If a large amount of capital from the market flows into the crypto world, real estate could experience a capital drought. This would make development loans more expensive and financing for developers harder to come by. If developers can't get funding, how can they build houses? If they don't build houses, the supply will become even more scarce. As for what the final outcome will be, it really depends on how the regulators set the rules. Will they allow cryptocurrency and real estate to complement each other, or will they create a situation where they squeeze each other out? I believe this will define the next decade at least, because with figures like Trump issuing coins, the direction has been set. We all need to start paying attention to cryptocurrency. We need to understand that in both the real estate and crypto worlds, the winners have not yet been decided. But the losers are certain. They will be the ones who fail to understand the rules. I am learning and growing along with all of you and sharing what I learned during my travels. I especially welcome you to share your valuable insights. Can you accept cryptocurrency becoming a deeper part of our future daily lives? Can you accept real estate and your 401k being tied to cryptocurrency? I look forward to hearing your thoughts. Thank you for your likes and subscriptions, and don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next exciting share.